Damn
Hey,
it.
welcome everybody to another live
Oh,
1019
man.
The Watch Commander. And I told Mike last week, don't talk when the video's on.
You
Don't
didn't say
cough.
don't cough. You didn't say don't cough, man.
Somebody,
It was funny. I heard it in my ear and I'm going, damn it. So it was too late.
help me. I'm going to put a
Yeah.
sign up. Send help. Send help. But yeah, so here we are with another episode of 1019 The Watch Commander. And special guest tonight is Trevor. Trevor, what's happening, my brother?
What's going on, sir? You guys have really downgraded this week. You guys normally have superstars on your show, and now you just got a guy who did 10 years on the job and quit.
There we go.
Well,
we go.
Downgrade.
we have quitters too.
Yeah.
We got people on the show.
We don't care.
Just want to say hello to Passe. Passe, what's happening, man? And GJ says, I'm 97. I write for you others. What is that? Is that code? Is that sheriff
Yeah, what
code?
is that? What does that mean, Greg? What's going on?
97. Dale Hedges
Well, I know
is
he's
here.
97, but hey, Daleo.
Is that
What's
his
going on,
age
brother?
or what?
I'm going to see, I think, Dale tomorrow or the next day over there in Las Vegas.
Las Vegas.
See,
So-
Los Vagos.
We don't know if we're going to match the numbers. Last week was a firecracker, and man, I tell you,
Sorry, Trevor.
I'm okay with that. Boy, that is a crazy caper.
That was,
Deserved a lot of views.
yeah, that got him. That's
Yeah.
for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I was editing, not editing, but I was adding some stuff on for the channel and for monetization. It was asking me how much cussing is on the video, and I'm like, oh, there's just a little cussing. There wasn't a lot. And when I finally click the buttons for cussing and stuff, they go, you cannot monetize this. You cannot monetize this video.
What? Which one was it? Last time?
Last week, yeah.
We had a potty mouth girl on the show.
Yeah, there was F-bomb City.
She was wild. She very, passionate, just ass kicking. Yep.
Extremely authentic.
Oh,
yeah,
great.
it was really enjoyable to have somebody just tell it like it is.
Yeah,
She meant every word she said. Yes.
Every other cuss word that she said was wonderful.
Every other cuss word she said was perfect.
Yeah. Well, that's the passion. What are you gonna do?
Yeah. If you're in the room, say hello. Hopefully there's not something special going on, some sports game or something else going on, and we have you guys in here. But say hello if you're on there. We're going to talk to Trevor a little bit. We got some stories, and we were supposed to have Marlon Marrache, the IA guy, on here, but he just texted me. He's been on the road today, I think to Colorado, if I'm not mistaken, but he just sent a video that he is stuck in the middle of a snowstorm. Who knew? But where he's at, I would not want to be.
Who knew it snows in Colorado?
No,
right?
Man.
Oh.
What a shock. In the winter.
The video shows it's nighttime. There's cars lined up as far as I can see, and it's just snow pummeling down. I just hate those times, but that's where Marlon is. So we're not going to talk to Marlon tonight, okay, guys? So
well, he'll be here in spirit.
Kevin Kazan. I've been meaning to tell Kevin. Kevin, I want to have you on the show, man. So get a hold of us. Mike, do you know Kevin?
No, sir.
Okay, Kevin, get a hold of me, man. Ken at policebackground.net, because I'd love to have you on the show. And, let's get this. Zippy's here, guys.
Thanks, Zippy. Ever faithful.
Zippy's here.
Yeah.
Zippy is ever faithful because no matter what, whatever show we have, we'll always have one viewer. Always.
I think Mike's wife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Quiet, man. I think we ought to get Passe and GJ on the same show and let them talk back and forth at each other.
Oh my gosh, would that be crazy? Even if GJ was on the show by himself, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
And again, Helper in the house. Helper in the house.
Helper.
Welcome. Always faithful as well. Helper is always faithful. Hangs out with us. So we've got some stories tonight. We've got a lot of things going on. This week has been crazy in the news because it's we won't get into it. I don't have any stories for this, but I'll just leave it with this: that Trump against the world, Trump against the whole federal judiciary. A lot of unfolding stories there.
You know, I had a friend actually asking, "Are you guys gonna talk about that judge trying to get him to turn the plane around?" And it's like, no,
Yeah.
because nobody would believe that story.
Turn that plane around midair.
Yeah.
Turn it around right now.
I can see him with his hands on his hips. You know, it's like, turn that plane around. It's like, not today, folks.
Was it just a straight no to the judge, or was it's already over international waters?
It was like this. Oops, already went.
It was. Look at that. Look at that. And Trevor, we have a message for you. Trevor, hey, look at that. Essential alumni. Good to see you, Trevor.
Good to see you too, sir. Well, I'm not seeing you, but I'm reading what you're writing.
There you go. I would have to get Passe to approve such
you know
an
what? That's
appearance.
the gauntlet's been thrown down. GJ and Passe.
GJ and Passe.
All we need is a thumbs up from Passe, and we got it going on.
Passe and GJ, let's get you on the show. And you know how I can always tell people are kind of ducking out on me because I go, "Hey, Kevin, let's have you on the show." Oh, there he is. I was just going to talk about Kevin and
Did he
say
split?
sometimes people just don't answer.
Yeah.
They just don't answer. Yes, Kevin, it is Ken at policebackground.net. Policebackground.net. Yeah, throw me an email and we'll get you on the show here. We've got some guests lined up as well. But
oh man,
Passe, come on, man.
Out of the two, I figured Greg would be the one that wimped out, not the mighty Passe.
And it doesn't matter what Zippy puts in the comments. I'm posting it. I'm going to put it up for everybody to see because it's great stuff.
Awesome.
And Mark Slater is here.
Mark, brother, good to see you.
Mark,
good
man. And GJ giving us news that has nothing to do with the show. This happens from time to time, folks. So keep up with GJ. And the space, the astronauts that were stranded in space by, I don't know why, but they just touched down today because Elon, when he had an extra space
had
rocket,
a capsule laying around. Yeah.
Just laying around. I got this in my garage. Hey, let's use this. Go get him. And did I put him as an LASD sergeant?
That's why he didn't show up. He felt dissed. What are you gonna do?
Make myself cough. Nako, was that in the graphic for the show, or did I put that somewhere else? I don't know. But I can do that because I'm old. I was telling Trevor I'm not as old as Mike, but today I'm older. And so the cool thing about being our age, Mike, is that we do something wrong, we go, hey, so I'm old.
Well, no, the good thing is you get the Denny's Grand Slam for $5. And if you do something stupid tomorrow, you're not going to remember it. So it's like it never happened.
No, there's no proof. There's no proof.
Yeah.
I'll have to check that.
Yeah.
But so we've got some stuff going on tonight. We do want to show you some this is who's this? Who's this guy?
Check him out.
It looks like is that Trevor in the old days in roll call? What are you holding there?
I'm holding a trophy. It says for the greatest eagle powers. It was right after my partner and I hunted down a murder suspect for a couple of days. It was nice not being attached to the radio. And the news anchor, when she reported on us catching the suspect, she said that these two coppers had, I don't know if it was sight of a hawk or eagle something, and I had a maybe that was it, and I had a supervisor that was a big Nacho Libre fan, and he and I would say Nacho Libre lines all the time. So he gave us that trophy, greatest Eagle powers, just like Nacho Libre says. And the picture on the right, it looks like I had to have been eating a lot of Tommies around that time. I'm kind of fat.
And
no, it's the camera angle. Come on.
Right.
Give yourself a break.
That's with the great Larry Elder.
The great Larry Elder.
And what was that about? How did you end up getting a picture of Larry Elder?
He was down at Philippe's doing some campaign stuff. And my partner and I asked to be assigned to that. And this was like right in the middle of all the COVID nonsense. And she knew what a big fan I was of his. And she went up onto the bus and she was like, "Hey, can we come onto the bus?" And he's like, "Yeah, that's fine, but you got to take off your mask." So we went in there, took off our masks, and took a photo.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
And so a little bit about you. You were on the job for 10 years.
For 10,
and decided that there was other stuff to do. Is that what happened?
Yeah, I just saw the writing on the wall like so many others that have left. And it was just kind of like, well, up and leave and go to another agency in another state where it's okay to be the popo, or stay here and do what I want to do. And my old lady didn't want to leave. So here I am.
There you are. And what are you up to today? Are you doing golf or something like that?
I am a full-time golf coach. Yep.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, I don't know if am I freezing up?
No more than usual. No.
No more than usual. I can't tell if I'm freezing up or not, but if I am, Michael, carry on.
You're not. I got a golf question for you, Trevor.
Yeah.
I find myself standing too close to the ball after I hit it.
Well, yeah, because it doesn't go anywhere.
No, it doesn't go anywhere.
Could help you out with that. I could help you get it airborne.
There you go. No, I've been smacking it pretty good for an old fart.
Oh, okay.
Where you do that at?
So I built my own facility. So I am part superintendent and also full-time golf coach and stay-at-home dad. So I kind of do it all.
Okay.
Busy man.
You didn't answer my question. Where do you do that at?
I'm in LA County.
Okay.
Yeah. And if
look at this,
anybody,
look at this.
He's a pro golfer. Yep. A lot of failed athletes, professional athletes, have ended up coming on the job and become pretty good coppers. I've worked with some guys that played minor league ball. Haven't ran into too many golfers, but the discipline that comes along with playing a D1 sport, growing up and playing a sport and then trying to play professionally, fits in well with becoming the popo. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. The popo.
The popo.
Well, are you guys ready to get this party started here?
Get it started. Bring it. Let's go.
Bring Mike.
What?
We got a story here. Mike, what in the heck is going on here?
Oh, this is something you wanted to bring up. I was just.
I do.
Hey, look at Zippy. She needs a golf teacher. Oh man.
There you go. That's what's going on there.
Bring it.
Oh yeah. Man. Oh, anyway, this is a caper that happened this last week. Apparently, some lady was on a Zoom doctor call with a psychiatrist. I think the psychiatrist is out of state. Psychologist could be one or the other. And during the meeting, the lady holds up a sign that says, "Help me! I'm being held hostage." And the lady, the psychologist, goes through the gyrations of figuring out where she's at. She notifies the local police. It turns out that apparently the residence belongs to this deputy whose name I wrote down. It's like Suho So, I think it is.
It's right there on the screen.
Where?
On the screen.
Oh, yeah. Hey, I did it. Suho So. Anyway, why am I saying it if it's on the screen? Anyways, they get there, and turns out that they contact the deputy, and the deputy, I guess, sends her a screenshot of the call that went out and is intimidating her, and the police get involved, and they get over there, and they find out that she's claiming that she has been kidnapped and held hostage, I think, since November of 23, and rape, spousal assault and violence and all this kind of stuff. So he ends up getting arrested by ICIB, which is Internal Criminal Investigations Bureau from LASD, and it turns out that he's on training in patrol, and he is a DACA recipient. He's one of those DACA deputies that we talked about a couple months back. This apparently wasn't the only case this week with DACA people. We had another one where a female DACA deputy, again, was at some family party, and a family member decided to be kind of cool to take her gun and start blasting rounds in the air, as people are wont to do. And the police get called. And as the police are arriving, apparently this DACA deputy made the dumb decision. Notice all those D's I did? DACA deputy, dumb decision. Jumps in a car and takes off with her boyfriend at the helm. They get stopped in a T-stop. She's got her gun on her, which is a violation of policy, right? And the boyfriend's got a gun on him too. So that is the second DACA deputy incident of the week. And I understand there was a third where another DACA deputy done dumb and was brandishing a firearm somewhere, but it was not a good week for the DACA debs.
So the rumor is that there's 3 total DACA deputies.
3 deputy dipshits who apparently used their whatever, they were stupid, off duty. 2 of them are firearm related, and one of them was just a kidnap rape, so.
Yeah.
Mark Marrache has a question. No, Mark, you can't do that anymore. So
you can't do that any longer.
You can't do that anymore, man.
So many things that are wrong with this caper. It's like, where do you start? I didn't realize that DACA deputies was a thing. Are there DACA coppers on the LAPD?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
I had an officer ask me about that today, and we had talked about it, and I talked about it on my Instagram a lot back. This started in late 2023, and GJ, it's a good question. How many DACA deaths and how many DACA LAPD? At the time of the stories, which was 2023, early 2024, there were 5 on LAPD, and I think there were like 5 or 6 on LASD. It was a big thing in the news. It was hit the national news, and what happened was California passed a law saying DACA recipients could be cops. And then Colorado followed suit, New Jersey, and I don't know which other states. But the problem came up with they were hiring them. They were already in the academy, and then somebody brings up to LAPD, hey, so guess what? You cannot be a DACA recipient and carry your gun home because it's against federal law. You can't even possess ammo. You can't even possess ammo. So apparently LAPD goes, oh my gosh, and their hair was on fire, and they said, okay, we're going to make a policy. We're going to make a policy that says that DACA recipient officers are cops 24 hours a day. And if they're 24 hours a day, they can carry their guns and they can have ammo. And there was a bunch of crap about that, and it just kind of died down. So LAPD, I don't think they've had any DACA people get in trouble. But this is just, it goes against federal law. And this is, I don't know why this is just all coincidental, Mike and Trevor, why DACA deputies are getting arrested and getting in trouble with guns.
And based off of what you guys just said, it sounds like they're batting 1,000 for the number of DACA recipient deputies you have and the number that were involved in capers this week. am I missing something? Or you said there were like
So, I'm sorry.
4 or 5 of them in total?
No.
There were like
Last
No?
I remember, the sheriff. We talked about this about a year ago, and I think at that time they had 8.
right.
I know a
Okay.
unit that has a number of them right now on training. But
So they're
like
batting like 300 on big capers.
well, the percentage. I mean, let's say they've got 20, and 3 of them are in trouble. That's a pretty high
Right.
percentage. Passe's got a point, but like I said before, I have mixed feelings about DACA. I've run into a lot of the kids when I was doing backgrounds down in San Diego. Great, God-fearing Americans, except they weren't Americans. They've been in the country for over 20 years, saying the Pledge of Allegiance, speaking perfect English, loving the country. I'm not so sure it's the DACA issue, which is at fault here. I think it's the lack of moral or ethical compass from these folks. If in fact they did what's being alleged, and that comes right down to the background process. What do you think about that, Ken?
Well,
Do you
the background.
do you think maybe they were being pressured to put DACA people through?
Oh yeah, yeah. They're all buying it. They're on the bandwagon because all this is just social justice warrioring. Where look at us, we're so cool. We're hiring DACA kids to be, and I call them kids because originally they were all kids under the age of 18, but we're hiring them, and aren't we cool? And then it turns out that hey, yeah, they can't carry guns. Uh-oh. And then all this other stuff. So they have to do this patchwork stuff to make them legit. And then my thing at the time was, and then Passe, you can talk about this too if this is something that you want to comment on. But then again, I'm thinking, okay, so LAPD makes this policy that says they can carry guns. I'm sure LASD had to do the same thing, so they can carry their guns home. So somebody gets in a shooting with a DACA cop, and then they shoot someone, and it turns out to be a bad shooting. But LAPD said that they could carry their guns, which made it okay. The shooting's bad, and now they sued the department because this officer wouldn't have a gun off duty if it wasn't for this LAPD policy.
Yeah, well, the sheriffs has not made them 24 hours. Sheriffs make them turn on their Roscoes. In fact, they're not even supposed to have them on them. My understanding is they're supposed to go to the watch commander safe. So why this one had it at a party where a family member could grab it and shoot it? I mean, where's the sense in that?
Well, he had his own gun. Hey, Mike, answer Helper's question. If you're a police officer 24 hours a day, shouldn't they be receiving overtime? Isn't it a violation of FSLA?
Well, we're considered cops 24 hours a day, right? That's all they're saying in the verbiage. I don't think they're trying to say he's on duty. They're just trying to get around the fact that they wouldn't let him have their guns. Even when I was a youngster, I didn't carry my gun off duty all the frickin' time. I wasn't worried about somebody from where I worked sneaking up to where I lived. But I can understand the concern nowadays because all bets are off with the way society is going right now. But the bottom line is, what do you do? What do you do about DACA? Nothing. I mean, it's going to come down to the president, right?
Oh, I feel like I'm freezing again. Am I freezing?
No, I think that's me talking over you. Go ahead. Oh, you did just freeze. That was cool. Wow. All right, go ahead.
There you go.
Are you there?
I don't know if I'm. Oh, there we go. Am I back?
I don't.
You never left, man.
Hey, you never left, but at one point you kind of jerked like this real quick, and you start spinning your head around like in The Exorcist. Yeah, it was cool.
So, with regard to the background question, these DACA recipients, their records start when they're kids. And so backgrounds only goes back, let's say employment goes back 10 years and residences only go back 7 years. So these backgrounds don't go back to when they were kids, when they were little tiny kids and they came from wherever they came from. So the background investigations would cover just like anybody else that was born here, because they're only going to go back so far, and all of their records are going to be in California or the United States. So the background would not be a hiccup, because if they pass the background, they'll pass it just like everybody else. But let's see here.
What if you're on duty? What if you're on duty? You get in pursuit and chase a car into Mexico, can you be denied entry coming back in?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Hey, you know what though? I have one weekend's drinking. Here's another thing. Is it was brought up in the news this week that if you are a DACA recipient, so DACA is still in the courts.
Mm-hmm.
The reason that there is DACA is because it hasn't been settled in the federal courts,
Mm-hmm.
whether they can stay or not, or blah, 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 whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's still hung up. They can't make a decision. The problem is this: if you're a DACA recipient and you commit a crime, you can be deported.
Mm-hmm.
So these deputies that are DACA deputies, if they get convicted of a crime, they can be deported. And that's one of the things that when they got hired by LAPD, they asked Michael Moore, so what happens if the courts decide against them? And Moore just kind of kissed it off. He goes, "Oh, I think the courts will do the right thing." But but if the courts rule against the DACA recipients and say, "Hey, yeah, you can't stay here," all those DACA deputies, they don't have a job. All those LAPD DACA officers, they don't have a job. You got to go.
Well, we just keep making it crazier and crazier with issues like that. I lay the blame at the feet of the federal government, frankly. That they should just have the huevos rancheros to make a decision and get it over with. Whether expedited citizenship, a path to citizenship, or get the hell out for 2 years and come back, or whatever they're going to do. Just make a decision. That they haven't done that, and I don't know why they're so hesitant to do so. I think didn't Trump want to get rid of it last term, and the judge turned him down? Isn't that right?
I don't know what all the life of that court cases are, but it got stuck in
DACA or not. What a crazy caper, meeting somebody who he was like putting her on a hold or something, or she's got a prior history of being put on a bunch of holds, and he ends up dating her or whatever, and then they end up becoming cohabs. And what a nutty caper.
I think I saw something in one of the articles that said it might have been a cultural misunderstanding. And with Su Mi Ho Yo, Yo-Yo.
Was that Vietnamese? Are there a bunch of chicks being held captive in Vietnam, or
the TSZ is kind of like Chinese, I thought, but whatever. It's like maybe it's I cocked her on the head and dragged her into my house. She's mine, kind of thing. I don't know.
Yeah. I think his middle name is the wrong. 'Tis the wrong ho. So
right, the wrong ho.
Yeah, the wrong.
I remember there were a couple of North Vietnamese pilots. One of them turned around and went the wrong way, and he ran into the other jet, and his name was literally Wong Wei.
Wong Wei.
True story, man. It's like, dude, what an unfortunate name for a crash.
So Helper's saying that federal admin wants to make DACA recipients American citizens.
They should do something. I'm kind of ambivalent to what they do, but they should do it. You've got how many thousands, tens of thousands of these folks all over the country that have been sitting in legal limbo. These kids that I would deal with down in San Diego, they worked at a detention facility holding, of all things, illegal aliens. And they had the work permits, I guess they had to redo them every 2 years, and a lot of great kids, man. But you know what? They were afraid to go 10 miles or 5 miles down to the border of Mexico because they're afraid they couldn't even get back in. So they're kind of like captive here. And I do feel for them, but I'm not so sure I feel for them enough to make them cops until the whole issue has been sorted out. That's kind of the scary part.
I want to know why Luna hasn't said anything.
Because Luna will not make a decision. He's like the federal government. He will not make a decision. He won't make a call. And on these, if you're talking about why has it been so silent, you don't hear a lot about this. I think Carrie Blakinger did one article and Cece did an article, and that's it. You would think this would be, El Nuzo Grande, but I know the department's trying to keep a lid on it, and they're probably not encouraging reporters to come down and talk about it.
Well, it was El Nuno. What did you say? El Nuzo Grande.
See,
when they got hired.
Well, no, it was a Pequeño Grande, but because I keep a pretty close tab on the department, and somebody told me, "Oh yeah, we got 8 of them," and I'm like, "How did they sneak in the door?" It's like, it's like they got snuck into the country when they were kids. Now they get snuck into the sheriff's department when they're adults. But
Yeah.
It's just an ugly mess, and I think until the feds make a decision, everybody ought to just kind of keep their powder dry and wait and see what happens. Hopefully, I guess that would come down to the Prez and Pam Bondi, and I'm assuming the courts probably end up getting involved. But just do it, make a decision, get it over with.
Well, I think that if these two get convicted, we'll find out, and I think that'll bring a fire or bring attention to this issue.
Well,
hiring.
Don't they get? I thought if you were a DACA recipient, you get like up to 3 misdemeanors or something before they boot you out.
Oh, that's right.
So if that's the case, they're probably going to be fighting for misdemeanor. The one with the gun shooting in the air. She and I'm pretty sure it was a female. She's not the one who was shooting the gun, but she's in possession of it off duty. I'm assuming the local PD probably just said, "Hey, sheriff, you take this; it's yours." If she's a probationer, she's probably gone. But who knows what they're going to do with that? That might not even be a filing of any kind.
That's right.
When did it officially become unethical to ask somebody out on a date that you met at work? Because I remember hearing like old command staff like, "Oh yeah, I met my wife on a traffic stop and stuff like that." But
conked her on the head, took her to my house.
Right. Put up a bunch of cameras,
and now she's mine. Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Oh, you mean on traffic stops?
Well, I just remember hearing stories from like old timers, like, "Oh yeah, best day of my life was when I pulled over my wife," But yeah, I mean, it's not like I came on the job a real long time ago, and I only did 10 years, but the entire time I was there, it was considered unethical to ask somebody out that you ran into at work. But
well, Helper can probably bring us Curran or Elliot, but it was always turning an on-duty contact into an off-duty relationship was always Kubo.
It's frowned upon. Yeah.
Okay.
It is frowned upon.
Yeah. Well, because what's she going to say? It was under the color of authority. I felt it was an order. Did I go have margaritas with him?
Right.
Yeah, that would. Do what I did. Just find one at work, that actually was employed by the county,
or a good Vietnamese coffee or something. Something to
drink. One of my most unfavorite chiefs, Chief Parks, and
you know what? That's where I heard that story because he would brag about it.
Oh,
thank you.
Well,
Helper.
It's okay. It's okay years later if you didn't get caught.
I see.
And if she doesn't file a complaint.
I see.
No, Mark's right.
What does this mean?
That's the definition.
What does that mean?
924. That's your squeeze.
Oh, squeeze.
Where you going? I'm going to do with my 924.
Helper says it's a violation of policy. Not supposed to do it. Only if you don't get caught. It's okay until it goes sideways. So you go.
Yeah, but Chief Parks was cool about talking about it on TV. So.
Yeah.
It's all fun and games until somebody loses an eye.
Right? Parks is the first guy that would beef you for that type of thing, though.
Oh, really?
First guy. Yeah. Oh, he was terrible. He was terrible.
That was another period of time where a bunch of coppers left the job. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he was bad.
Hey,
Mike, we got another.
Well, I was going to ask you, Ken. Do you know anything about the like sheriff's departments losing people hand over fist? Do you know how the LAPD is doing? Are they losing them at the same rate?
I think they stand to lose a lot of people. This coming fiscal year ends in the end of June, and they're going to lose a lot of people. I don't think that recruitment is keeping up, and then with the current LAPD, if you want to call it scandal at recruitment, that's been hitting the news. I don't know that will affect recruitment or not, but I don't really know. But I know that they're losing more people than they're hiring.
Yeah, well, the sheriff's department, they're almost 1,500 sworn items down. 1,500 deputies. And there's about 1,400 plus civilians missing. It's like 3,000 short on the department. They haven't been doing a whole lot of classes. And this April, which is right around the bend here, March, April is retirement season for the sheriff's department. And we normally lose between 250 and 400 people. And they can't keep up. And I don't blame them. Nobody wants to go work for a dude that will not back your play, that will badmouth you, backstab you, run you over with a bus, one of the working buses that we have, and then toss you over to the FBI at the drop of a hat. It's like who would want to put up with that? You get enough crap from the anarchists out in the street. You've got an anarchist sitting in the sheriff's office right now. That was my political viewpoint. Oh, there you go.
Thank you. I appreciate that very much.
I was telling Ken last week, just my feel from, the coppers that I stay in contact with, and going to a funeral a couple weeks ago and seeing some people that I hadn't seen in a long time. And all I'm hearing is I'm trying to get this inside gig, or, I was going to do 35, but I'm out in 3 years. I'm only doing 20. And it's just across the board, all these guys that you either figured were going to be pushing a black and white their entire career aren't doing it, or guys that you thought were going to be on the job forever, they're not going to do it. And who would want to come on? So
yeah, and until you get I can only speak for the sheriff's department, but until you just get like a true leader who's going to stand up, put on his big boy pants and back his troops, it's going to keep going like it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Big shout out to Paula. Paula, we love you. Good to see you.
Hey, P.
And Paula. Interesting thing too, Trevor, you just made me think of something. I don't know if you've seen it or not, but remember when LAPD every single month they would put this big thing out? We graduated this class, and there was this many females, and this many black officers, and this many other people's, and I haven't seen that in a couple 2-3 months. I don't think they've put anything out about the graduating classes.
That's true. I haven't seen anything either. You're right. And here's something that I've been thinking about too. I think, and let me know if you guys agree with me, I think that the greatest recruitment tool for any agency is people that are already on the job, right? So, Pop's coming home talking about how much he digs pushing a black and white. His little boy is going to want to come on the job, and dad's going to be pushing him to do it too. So that's not happening anymore. I drove through an In-N-Out a couple months ago, gave the cashier my debit card. He's like, "Hey, are you a cop?" And I'm like, "Why? You gonna spit my burger or what?" And he's like, "Oh, I recognize the debit card. My dad has the same one. He works patrol at 77th." And this kid's early 20s, maybe late teens. And I'm like, "Are you coming on the job?" And he's like, "Hell no." And you got a bunch of that going on. Who's going to tell their kids to come on right now? Nobody.
Well, when you talk about the quality of your work environment too, these days, it hasn't stopped. They're working back to back to back doubles, like triple doubles, and they can't get any time off. They're being ordered in. They're being drafted in. They're being worked literally to death. They're so exhausted, and they get home and good luck saying anything to your kid. You're just going to go hit the sack because you're going to have to be back at work in 6 hours. And it's you got crumbling infrastructure, crumbling radio cars, crumbling CAD system, which is still breaking down. Where does it end? Didn't anybody with the crisis management, right? Didn't anybody see that ship coming toward the rocks? And it's just it's a pathetic place that we're in right now.
Yeah.
And I'm going to open the conversation here also in that, LAPD was struggling before when 2020 was going on. And then everybody thought that McDonald was going to be the savior of LAPD. And then he's been a big disappointment, I think, for the coppers. But
I don't know how much you can put on a chief, to be honest, the way that it's structured, because I mean, let's be honest, the last time that a chief was able to tell a mayor to go fuck off was Gates, you know, and have we really had somebody who wasn't a puppet of the mayor since then? I don't know.
Yeah, but that's the thing is that you know, your legacy is going to be whether you were one of those, when you go down the street and there's those in front of the car lots, there's that blow up thing and it's going. If you're a chief like that, you're just going, oh, dude, check me out. Or you're somebody that has a pair of balls that says, you know what, screw it. I don't care. The coppers are more important than me and my money and kissing up to the mayor. Why isn't there a true leader that can stand up and say, I'm probably not going to have a job tomorrow, like the fire chief, and I'm not going to have a job tomorrow, but I got to say what I got to say. You can't pick on the cops.
You just answered your own question.
What?
A chief who gets hired at the what did I say?
What was my question?
If a chief's job is dependent upon the mayor liking them, and you can like these podunk towns where they get hired and fired at will, and now you've got the sheriff under that edict that they came across in Alex's tenure, that a super majority of the board can fire him, can fire a sitting sheriff, an elected official. Who is going to go out and do that doesn't have balls of steel?
Balls of steel.
You heard it here first.
Mark is asking, this is for Trevor and for Helper and for Elliot. What do you think? Do you think LAPD would go to one-man crime cars due to personnel shortages? Never, ever will LAPD work one-man cars.
Sheriffs has one-man cars. Sheriffs had one-man crime cars.
I mean, that was one of the things that I told people that the LAPD did right. I was like, always rolling too deep, always 8 cars.
Yeah, it's always been 2-man cars. It's just an officer safety issue. Then you're going to have 2 cars show up anyways. LAPD's always been like that.
I was very fortunate. We have in county area, we've always had 2-man crime cars, but we'll have 1-man traffic cars like most everybody. In contract city areas, the contract cities are cheap. Yes, you guys heard me out there, you contract cities, and they'll only pay for 1 person per car, and they'll make these king cars where you have to, like you said, you have to roll 2 cars anyway, but they're trying to cover more territory with fewer people. I was blessed, man. I worked Firestone, Lennox, and always had 2-man cars, and for a really good reason. Like Paula said, it's a severe officer safety issue. If you're out there at 3:00 in the morning, pulling over a bunch of bloods in the Crip neighborhood, by yourself, ain't going to happen.
I was in one of those cities when I got 459, Mike, and remember the cop or the deputy coming over. Well, 2 of them showed up, cleared the house, and then one of them left, is taking the report, and I'm like, how many guys you guys got working tonight? I just sort of felt that it was odd, neighborhood where there's probably not a whole lot going on and only 2 show up to clear the pad, but maybe somebody was doing something else. He's like, we've got 3 right now until 3 a.m. and then it's just me. And if there's a backup in an adjacent city, I go. And I'm like, what?
Yeah. That's like, there's the city of La Cañada, Flint Ridge. They contract with the sheriff's department, and the cars roll out of Crescenta Valley. During the daytime, they'll have 1 car. 1 car. It's like, well, 1 crime, 1 car, right? But they know that they have Altadena on one side and Crescenta Valley on the other that can come over and help. But with these shortages, which we're going to talk about in a minute anyway, all bets are off, man. I really fear for the people that are out doing the Lord's work these days. Is that the one I wanted to talk about there?
That's the one you want to talk about.
That's a small tip. Yeah, let's do that.
I will play my video.
Oh, play your video. Go for it.
LA County Sheriff's Department is one of the largest local law enforcement agencies in the U.S., but these days the department is facing what the sheriff calls a staffing crisis.
There's concern the shortage of deputies is leading to longer response times. In a 7 on Your Side investigation, reporter Kevin Ozebek is here now with what the department is doing about it. Kevin.
Yeah, so Mark and Ellen, let's just start off with the numbers right here. Right now, there are nearly 1,500 LA County deputy positions that are not filled. And when you take that and combine it with all the deputies who are out for reasons like medical leave, paternity time, or military duty, 23% of deputy positions are not available. But the sheriff tells us he's doing everything he can to try to turn this around.
Whether chasing a suspect down a street, gearing up for a SWAT standoff, or flying over the county looking for crime. Being an LA County Sheriff's deputy has never been easy, but deputies say the job is getting harder.
Deputies are getting severely burnt out.
Deputy Christopher Chung leads a team of patrol deputies that should be 23 strong, but right now he has just 12 deputies.
That means we have to fulfill our obligations with a lot of overtime.
Deputy Jorge Calvillo says he now sometimes works back-to-back doubles to make sure 911 calls are answered. Not only is that costing you, the taxpayer, more in time and a half pay, but Jorge says it takes a toll on him too.
Physically, mentally, what does that do to you?
It drains you.
Who does their best decision making? Makes their best decisions when you're exhausted and you've just worked 16 hours back-to-back days.
Richard Pippin is president of the Deputies Union.
Our response times are up across the county. The workforce is tired.
This report the Sheriff's Department sent to the Board of Supervisors in September of last year shows response times for high-priority emergency calls across the county from 2018 through 2023 ticked up by an average of 0.64 minutes, which is 38 seconds. The report also says increasing vacancies since 2020 could be contributing to the increased response times.
It's a staffing crisis. There's no way around that terminology.
It's a crisis Sheriff Robert Luna inherited, but a crisis he tells us he wants to fix. He says he's brought in a marketing firm to help recruit people into the crime-fighting profession. Police work has become politicized. The sheriff hopes this helps reverse that.
We're consistently trying to think out of the box, and we will continue to do that to make sure we're hiring the best people to serve our community.
And deputies are rooting for their sheriff too. LA will be hosting the Olympic Games in just 4 very short years.
We have huge worldwide events that are looming in the near future, and we simply do not have the staffing for it.
But it's not just the Sheriff's Department that's struggling with staffing. Check out these numbers. There's just over 117,000 county jobs. So that includes not just deputies, but firefighters and county civil servants of all types. Right now, more than 13,000 of those jobs, again, 13,000 of those jobs, Mark and Ellen, are not filled. So clearly there is an issue recruiting in some of these government jobs.
And so the sheriff trying to recruit more cadets into the department, does he think that alone will do the trick?
Well, he did also tell us he wants to see his deputies get paid more. And right now, the union for those deputies is in negotiations with the county. But guys, just a few weeks ago, the county chief executive did warn we're under some tight financial times, especially after these fires. So we'll wait to see what happens with those negotiations.
All right, yeah.
Yeah, the county's already offered the deputies 0% raise, using the excuse that those fires, we don't know what's going to happen, so no raise for you. On one hand, we know that you're overworked and underappreciated, and your morale is at an all-time low. People are leaving the department, retiring early, lateraling out, just flat out quitting. But by the way, we're not going to give you a raise because that's just the way it goes. Let's talk about that stat that they talked about. Let's say you're a homeowner and somebody's breaking into your house. They're kicking the front door. They're telling you they're going to kill you and your dog. And what does that extra 38 seconds mean to you in your life? 38 seconds is a lifetime. Think about any crime you can think of. And these are priority calls we're talking about. It's oh my God, there's a fire here. Go ahead.
Cool. Sorry. Cool thing is that they're going to make it illegal to defend yourself. So
Well, that got AB 1333 got pulled because the guy was like, "Oh man, everybody found out what I was doing," so we pulled it.
Stupid.
Oh, okay.
Which,
Good.
yeah, thank God for that. But yeah, if the guy comes and you can get away, you better run like hell. And if you can't, I guess take your beating. And what's the purpose for that? It's to protect the crook. It's not to protect you. We don't want our crooks getting hurt. If they're going to rob you, just let them take your shit. Leave you alone.
If they
But
pass that law, what would happen? More victims would be shot in the back because as they retreat.
well, yeah, they would. Or the baseball bat will hit them in the back of the head instead of the front of the head.
Hmm.
But
What?
this, I'm sorry, but this administration, the sheriff's administration, is just, they are so tone deaf. And if the sheriff wants to talk about a staffing crisis and how he's going to fix it, he needs to go look in the mirror, because it's his actions and his inactions that are causing people to flee law enforcement. He's not a leader. I mean, he won't make decisions, and it cracks me up every time they come up with something like, "Sheriff, this CAD system is falling apart. What are you going to do?" "That's my number one priority." "Hey, Sheriff, these times are up over here. What are you going to do?" That's my number one priority." "Your staffing is falling apart. What do you?" "Well, that's my number one priority." He's got all these number one priorities, and after every one of them, he'll say some ding dong thing that some nonsense coming out of his mouth, and then he'll say, "But we got more work to do on that." Instead of going out to all these public events that he goes to, it's very obvious that he's campaigning already 14 months out. He goes to all these things, let's go flip a burger in this guy's backyard. Let's go over here and wave this flag over here with these guys. He had to get his ass back into his office and do his job. It's to the point where it's just he's a parody. He's a police imposter right now. And it's just, he is not the right person at the right time for the county of Los Angeles.
Do they think that? How do they think that throwing money at deputies is going to build morale?
No,
Because they'll say, "Hey, we were paying you $10 an hour to abuse you,
yep,
and throw you under the bus. We're going to pay you $12 an hour to abuse you and throw you under the bus."
Just don't use your pepper spray.
all right. It's that old pirate ship captain thing. The beatings are going to continue until morale improves.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what's going on right now. He expects to have this fine-tuned, fine-equipped, fine-educated, fine-trained law enforcement agency, but he doesn't provide them with the tools or the backing. I know that there's state mandated training right through post. It's being ignored. It's just being pushed aside. They can't get people through for lack of funding, and as far as I'm concerned, lack of will. But how do you take kids that are working their asses off, that are dead tired all the time, and tell them they got to go to some week-long class somewhere when they might get pulled out of the class to go back and work overtime? It's ridiculous. I mean, it's. I just I pray that this last election brought about a paradigm shift that we're going to see coming along, and maybe we can get some of these bozo knuckleheads out of where they're at and put people in there that really care and really understand what needs to be done.
So what do you think,
Thanks.
Mike? You think Luna's going to be?
Thanks, Mark. I think he's going to be a one-term sheriff. That's my prediction. I think he's getting enough heat from enough levels. Morale in the sheriff's department doesn't mean a whole lot in the grand scheme of things, right? People don't know. They don't. Joe Blow on the street's not going to know that everybody's pissed off at the sheriff. But everywhere I go, I talk to civilians, and they're like, "Your sheriff is a fucking idiot." And now with this, okay, maybe I threw the word in myself. All right, I paraphrased them, but look at there. You got a couple of thousand people on the department who are boycotting Baker to Vegas because of this guy. That is I think. Well, it used to be the Death Valley Run, if you remember, Ken, back in the day. And they decided they better go run somewhere that doesn't have the names Death Valley in it. So they ended up going to Vegas. That is something people train all year round for. I mean, it's part of their career. We're going to get better at Baker to Vegas. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. We're competing internationally with people. And it is so bad at the sheriff's department that they're like, you know what? Screw that this year. We're not giving Luna the satisfaction of running for him and maybe winning something. I recommended that they go and they do their best, and they just don't take pictures with him. Just ignore him. If he gets up on the stage, walk away. That's pretty that way you get both. It's a powerful message, and you also get to run. But I'm not going to stand in the way of, deputies are going to do what deputies do, man, and they are tired of being ignored and treated like shit. I'm sorry, bull crap or whatever, and they're speaking out. And they're going to do something about it, and I can't blame them. But what has he done? Nothing.
What was the news reporter saying that they want to hire more cadets? What is that?
That guy's a boob. He doesn't. Well, they're deputy sheriff trainees. That's what they want to hire.
Oh, they're just recruits.
Yeah, that's what it's talking about.
Oh, that's stupid. So the fix for having not enough deputies is to hire more deputies. There's the plan.
That you know what? Well, I always say, hope is not a strategy, and they're going to hope they do this, but I think Luna was just talking some nonsense about it. I think the board gave them the ability to have 8 classes this year. Okay, so 50 people in each class, that's 400 through the course of the year. How many are they going to lose in April? I bet you they lose at least that much. They're not even keeping up with attrition. And a lot of people, they can't recruit, hire, train, and retain, because by the time it gets to that retained stage, everybody's like, fuck this. I'm going to go to Beverly Hills, or I'm going to go to Colorado. I'm going to Washington State, where they love their cops still. They're getting great training. I think it's up to like $150,000 a head to train them. So they're getting all this awesome police training, and they're just, wiping their hands off and getting away from LA County as quick as they can. Go ahead.
When I was working backgrounds, if we could hire 450 cops, LAPD officers per fiscal year, we were smoking hot. And that was just to keep up with attrition. If the departments can't keep up with attrition, they just keep getting less and less every year.
And Ken, when you were doing that, how many applicants were you guys getting?
Tons, I bet.
We were getting a lot of applicants, but the problem was personnel was so screwed up. They didn't have enough background investigators, or they didn't have the budget. And so we didn't have the background investigators if you could get 2,000 applicants per month, you still didn't have enough background investigators to do the case, to work the cases. So it didn't matter.
Yeah. My coming from where I came from, it's actually pretty telling that the money doesn't really matter. The time that I came on was right before Trayvon and right before Michael Brown, and so it was before shit really started to roll downhill, and they gave us a 20% cut. So they were paying us nothing. I mean, there was a guy in my class. We get our first check, and he goes, "Dude, I was making a lot more as a substitute teacher. Like, what are we doing? In a few weeks, we're going to be chasing gangsters and shit." But I don't know if they were pulling our chain or what over at recruitment, but they said that they were only accepting about 3% of the applications that came in. And, they were doing like 60-person classes at the time, a class every month. So, I mean, that's a lot of applicants. And now one of the articles that you sent me said that they're proud that they're getting 100 applicants a month. Is that the number that are turning in stuff for backgrounds, or?
It must be. I'm not sure what that 100 would be, but the old rule was that for every 1,000 applicants, and that this goes across the whole hiring process, medical, PATs, oral boards, all the testing, for every 1,000 candidates, that only one made it into the academy. And so they had to bake in that number in order to kind of guess how many recruits they were going to get in a class. And that's how they would decide we're going to hire this many people and stuff like that. So if the numbers go down, that percentage goes down for how many you're going to get into the academy. And,
unless you change the rules.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right.
But if they can't even graduate, not even 30 per class, and they need more than 50 per class. They need 60 per class to try and get the numbers up to meet attrition. and they're only getting 27, 26 graduates per class. So it's a bad thing. And the sheriff, you know what? And I got to mention this too, Mike and everybody out there in LASD land. Whenever I see Luna talk like he did in that video, golly, I mean, he's just like a little wet noodle. I just can't take him.
Yeah, I don't think he's a real good public speaker, and I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that he doesn't know what he's talking about. He picks and chooses his words like a third-rate politician, frankly, and
Like
he's
Kamala.
yeah, yeah,
Kamala.
yeah. I mean, the
Kamala.
word salads that come out of his mouth, but you know, that's people of LA County, man. That's what they voted for, and I hope they're getting a taste of it because I hope it leaves a bad taste in their mouth, and it's a one term for him. I just can't. I guarantee you, this is going to be my prediction. There's going to be over a dozen people running for sheriff, and I think that with that many people running, they're probably going to keep him below 50% in the primary, which means there's going to be a runoff. And if there's a runoff, my guess is if you got a good second candidate there, he's going to end up losing, and he can pack his shit and go back to Long Beach. As far as I'm concerned, he walks into an organization with almost 18,000 people, like 9,500 cops from a place where he had 600. And I think that he's going through this a couple of years of sticker shock. He's just been kind of staggering around. And the department, you think about how huge it is and how big the county is and all the jails we have and all the special, patrol units and all the other assignments, the homicide bureau and the narco bureau and all the courts and everything. He came in underwater and he is going down. I don't see him coming back up. Like I said, every time they hit him up, what about the buses? Oh, those are my number one. Yeah, no. You said the other one's your number one issue. Well, but we got one. It's just he's like you said, he's Gumby.
What's he going to run on?
What's he going to run on? Running on empty. Well, I guarantee you that his people are going to be able to spin some things. As far as he's nicer. There's not as much arguing as there was with the last sheriff. Alex had his issues. But you always knew where the dude was coming from, right? He was not afraid to make a call, and but this guy, I mean, his whole thing is, I've got great. He just did this thing where he wanted to do an online thing with potential supporters. And every other word out of his mouth was relationships. I've got these relationships. Oh, we live off relationships. I love relationships. I eat relationships for lunch. Go look at the relationship that he has with the LA County Sheriff's Department. Zero. He has no relationship. He would rather stand with the activists and the anti-cop people like he did with the Trevor Kirk case and like he did with the other kid up there in Palmdale that got fired, and wave his finger and talk about how bad it was and how horrible it looked and everything, instead of supporting his own freaking people, and everybody sees that. They see it. And I think enough noise is being made now that there are people out there, the regular Joe Blow voter, that sees what's going on. I think they're going to be looking for something better, especially after, I mean, look at the fires with the city management and some of the county stuff, man. Sorry, we don't have any water today. You should have come last Tuesday. We had water in the hydrant, right? Or, the mayor is over there drinking and dancing with her friend in Ghana when she knew it was coming and she decided that was more important. It's just, people are sick of it. I'll be surprised if she survives coming up, because I think her election is going to be in 26 as well. It's a good thing for knucklehead Gavin up there that he terms out. He'll be gone. But like I said before, Prop 36 got passed, right? Statewide, in a very blue state, Prop 36 passed. George Gascon got his ass kicked out of office in a very blue county. He got kicked out. You got a guy, Hockman, that he's better. I mean, he might be playing a little too political right now, but he's a lot better than the knucklehead they had. I think people are done. I think they're ready for change. And I think, if I'm right, man, hasta luego, Luna.
Yeah, one thing is that there's no contentious behavior from the Board of Supervisors because they don't talk about Luna at all.
Well, I think they know that all they got to, if they get mad, they got to reach out the window and pull that puppet string on him like this, and they'll just back him up, close his mouth, and move him off to the side. I mean, he acts like he is subordinate to them, and my guess is in his brain he probably thinks he is subordinate to them. The only thing that they can do to him is fudge with his budget. Period. That's it. They can't order him to hire this person, which they have. They can't make him do this and that, which they have. They just kind of tag him. They kind of pull him along, and he just kind of shuffles along behind them. Um, it'll be interesting to see what happens. I'll tell
Yeah,
you
but
that.
speaking of fudge, Luna will be sheriff if you give him a piece of chocolate cake.
It's the cake, right?
It's a cake.
It's an
Just give him a
inside
piece.
joke there, Trevor. Sorry. Trevor, you got to quiet
Okay, I
down,
got it.
man. You keep interfering with everything we're saying here.
You know what?
You know
Paula
what?
brings up-
Real quick question. Whatever happened to it was like a phone line caper with one of the Board of Supervisors, right? It was like a kickback caper that was going on while Alex was sheriff.
Oh,
That just
yeah.
disappeared, right?
What's her face? Well, because they sent it up to the state AG, and the state AG is as blue as they come.
Hmm.
And I think what they did was they let the statute run out on it.
Oh,
It
yeah.
was a lady. Oh, was it Patty Giggins that was on the COC? And oh gosh,
Real
what's her?
handsome woman.
Yeah, right.
Hmm.
And what's her face that was on the Board of Supervisors?
Sheila
Who knows?
Kuehl.
Sheila Kuehl.
Sheila
You're right.
Kuehl.
Yep. Yeah.
I only know her because she was on Dobie Gillis. But other than that,
Dobie.
Paula brings up a really good point because I read in the paper today that Prop 36 passed right on California voters. We don't have the money to enforce it.
Well, and that might be why Hilda Solis is pushing so hard to have CJ torn down without a replacement because she doesn't want more people in jail. If you can't do that. You absolutely cannot close Central Jail without a replacement up and running first, because that's where high power is, and that's where you've got all your gang leaders, right? And all your mass murderers, the people who'll chop your head off and eat Cheerios out of your skull, those kind of folks. Those are the only place they can be housed. I mean, you need at least 1,000, 1,200 beds, and it's funny because Luna was talking about that. Oh, we'll make it a care campus. What do you mean a freaking care campus? It's a freaking jail. And if you want to have a portion of it, take care of people who've got mental illness issues, or drug addictions or whatever, people think they're aardvarks or whatever. Sure, they can be in there too, but it's not a care campus. It's a freaking jail. And, you can put any kind of tag you want on it, but Hilda's trying to push to get CJ torn down without a replacement. And if that happens, woe unto LA County, man. I don't know where they'd put all these dudes. There are people that legitimately need to be locked away in one person cells, period. If you don't, you're going to find them in the morning chewing on their roommate's arm. You can't do that. But, that's the mentality. They're talking about, what is it? Care first, I think, jail last, or whatever their motto is. Well, sure, you can care, but thank you, Paula. There it is. Care first. Man, she's reading my mind tonight. But care first. It's nice if you lived in a utopian society, but we don't. We have people that you've done care first since they were 8-year-old bandits driving around in a hood, stealing mopeds and ripping people off, right, and selling dope. And now they're in their 20s and they're one of the heads of some scandalous gang, and they have to be locked away. Care first, man. That ship sailed 10 years ago with some of those guys. So
I want to mention.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I take exception to your earlier comment because I identify as an aardvark, and for all my aardvarks.
But you're not a criminal aardvark.
I'm not a criminal aardvark.
I'm assuming you're kind of like a Barney the dinosaur. Barney's a good guy. He's not. I love you.
Yeah. I was talking to this was a couple years ago. The commander that was running Men's Central, and he was like, I can't even put a cleaning crew together right now because none of our low-level guys are
there
here
anymore.
anymore. It's just empty.
Absolutely. You know, when I graduated from the academy in 1850, I went to CJ, and you had everything there from a drunk driver up to a multiple murderer in these cells. And as time has gone on now, it's pretty much all part one violent crimes that are in central jail. You know, all those other folks, man, they've been farmed out somewhere. You know, they're already out there running amok in the county. I
They
remember
go
when we
straight
had
to Skid Row to get high. It's the
right.
first place they go, and
Yeah,
they
well,
stay there.
we used to have like 22,000 people division wide in custody. Think about that, 22,000, and right now I think it's down to 12,000. Now, did those 10,000 people get better, or are they out staggering around the streets right now and capering?
There's still savages.
Yes, there are.
What's
There
this?
are.
What's this care first and harm reduction? What is that?
Well,
Somebody explain that to me.
Well, care first is the one that I was just talking about, where if you've got somebody that's messing up with a particular crime, and you can get them care or help first, then you do that before you stick them in jail. Harm reduction, I don't know. Helper would have to help me with that one. But you want something that you can do to care first. Reopen Miraloma, right? It's been mothballed for a number of years now. Refurb that place, turn it into a jail where people can go up there and learn a frickin' trade. I don't care what it is: cable installation, roofing, carpentry. And you get an outside education thing like LA Trade Tech out there. They'll certify those suckers. And once they're certified and they get out, they also help them find a job. That's a win-win-win, right? That's care first, baby. That you give them a workable, manageable skill. But what are you going to do with somebody that is involved in multiple carjackings and robberies and murders and shootings and all that other heinous crap? And we're going to give you care first. What does that mean? What is care first with somebody like that? Yeah. And Paula's right. Let's, there's an Elton John song, Have Mercy on the Criminal. I don't know if you remember that one. But
no, I don't.
That's somebody back in history. I wish I could remember who it was. They said that was it compassion for the criminal is like, almost murder to the victim kind of thing. It's a betrayal. And that's what Luna preaches right now. He's administrative betrailer. Harm reduction, aka oh mercy. I didn't know they did that. I didn't know they did that.
Yeah, when is the state of California as a whole, because there's so many cities that are messed up with the homelessness and the crime, going to realize that, when it comes to the criminally insane that are just out and about on the street all day getting high and capering, that you have to force them inside, full bore medical attention for months, get them off of the drugs, forcing them to, whatever it may be, learn a trade or something like that. We all know deep down inside it's just a money laundering scheme at the end of the day, and they just want to have as many homeless people as they can out on the street so that they can continue to tell us that they have a problem, so they need more money. But yeah, I don't know when we're just going to get with the program and realize you got to do the hard work to get this taken care of. We can't keep fiddling around with it.
Yeah, well, it's that homeless industrial complex. It's the same as the settlement agreement industrial complex and the consent decree industrial complex. Everybody's in it for money. They don't give a crap about the homeless or how you do your policies or procedures. They just want to be at the county trough for as many years as they can.
Yeah,
I got to Central early 2014, and it was like right before Prop 47 started coming down the pipeline. And when I got there, I was like, there are too many cops downtown. There ain't shit going on. You know, send some of these fools down to the south end where it's popping, you know? And then once Prop 47 hit, it just instantly blew up. It was like overnight. Just the streets were packed with junkies. It was
Yeah.
crazy.
It's a culture of criminality that's got a foothold. And I'll tell you what, it's not the street cops' fault, man. I'm gonna tell you that. And not the sheriffs, not LAPD. No street cop out there has caused this. They're the ones that are living the nightmare because of the decisions that are being made by their upper management and their supposed leaders.
This reminds me of 2020 when everybody was on the BLM bandwagon and stuff, and they came up with this brilliant plan of sending people in the community called interrupters. Do you guys remember that? Where they would walk the communities and they would de-escalate stuff and stuff. Either they all got killed or they're not around anymore because you never hear about them.
Did they get a Did they get a blazer or anything, or they just walked out on the street?
And then Paula brings up a really good point that they want to call criminals justice impacted individuals because they're not suspects.
You know what? I guarantee you, if they come up with that boneheaded idea and they show that to Luna during his dessert when he's eating his chocolate cake, he will be all over that. Oh, I'm going to put out a memo telling everybody you got to call them. They're going to be JIIs from now on, you know, not crooks or criminals.
Right before I left the job, the big deal was caged vehicles. Could no longer say caged. You must say partitioned.
Partitioned.
Because you don't want to think they're behind a cage.
Right.
The way they change language, like that's going to change something.
Right.
I don't care what you call them.
Did you ever work Southwest?
No.
Another thing that changed right before I left the job was could no longer call it the Jungles.
Oh, the Jungle.
It became Baldwin Village. Couldn't say Jungles anymore. Yeah.
I don't think changing it to Baldwin Village makes crime go down. It just makes it a bad look.
Well, the funny thing is you'd run into a black pea stone, you know, that had retired to become a full-time crackhead in downtown. And you'd talk about Baldwin Village, and he's like, "What the fuck what are you talking about? You mean the Jungles?"
Yeah. What's Alec Baldwin got to do with this?
Oh yeah. Here's another one. Unhoused. Well, they're homeless.
Don't you remember? It's only been a couple of years ago. I used to work at Firestone, like I said, and that was South Central LA. You can't call it South Central anymore. You call it South LA.
South LA.
What that does is they had to put a new numeric thing in the codes, right, in the criminal codes. So all of a sudden, all the South Central LA crimes kind of fell away. And now it's brand new South LA, so it makes it easier to fudge with the numbers.
Oh my gosh. And they got unhoused, right? And then illegal aliens or illegal immigrants are undocumented. Why are they undocumented? Because they're illegal. That's the point.
Yeah.
Or sometimes they like to go full bore with that one and just say migrants.
Migrants.
Oh yeah,
just migrant.
They're just migrating through like a herd of caribou, right?
Right.
Herd of caribou. We got another story
Forward,
that we've got to bring up here. Mike wants to talk about this one as well.
Yeah.
What's going on with this, Mike?
This one kind of pissed me off when I saw it in the paper, and I'll explain to you why. Let me back up to the page here because I took copious notes. This is about a deputy sheriff. He had an incident up in Palmdale back in July of 2022 where they did a T-stop on, I think, 4 people, male driver and some females, and they were all hammered. They're all drunk, and they were holding the babies in their arms instead of in car seats. So they took the driver for the child endangerment, and they made the decision they were going to take this one female into custody, and she's got this infant in her arms. And they go, okay, let go of the baby. You know, we're gonna We're going to take care of business here. You come to the station. And she starts basically fighting them and pulling away and grabbing her own kid like it was a rag doll. And the deputy's like, okay, wait a minute now, making us forcefully take your baby is not going to make things better. And she's like, try it, motherfuckers. And, however that went in the street. But so the deputies decide, well, we can't tase her because she's got a kid. We don't want to shoot a sting ball at her or anything. So they decide that they're going to just use physical force. And one grabs one arm, one grabs the other. They're pulling it away. And this deputy, Timothy Gardner, what he does is it's something that I would have considered to be a distractive technique. He punches her in the face as she's doing all the struggling, causes her to let go of the baby, problem solved. That's it. She goes to jail. Well, this would happen during Alex's time, July of 22. He left office in December of 22. So the case went through his office. I think you might even have a video of him, but his office found the use of force to be within policy, as would I have. It's like use minimal force with someone who is actively resisting and actually threatening the life of the same child that she's acting like she doesn't want to have the police get hold of. So it gets cleared, right? Case done. In December of 22, Luna becomes sheriff. And in July of 23, actually July 12th, which is exactly a year, the 365th day that this case happened, he holds a press conference. He shows the video of the incident. He said, this is horrible. It's unconscionable. I can't believe it. And he says he's turned the case over to the district attorney and the FBI. Now, try to explain to me why that case would go to the FBI. A punch in the face does not FBI make. My belief is that Luna was looking at it through a colored lens, saying that it had to be racially motivated because it's a white deputy punching a black female. But it goes beyond that, because what else is going on in July of 23? June 24th of 23, the Trevor Kirk incident happened in Lancaster, the next station over, right? Stay with me. Luna comes out on July 5th, which is exactly a week before the other case with Timothy Gardner. And he does a press conference saying it's disturbing. This is a disturbing case. I mean, I think they've got video of him out there standing side by side with the BLM, cancel the contract, anti-cop activist kind of thing. And he acknowledges sending the case to the FBI regarding Timothy Gardner and the punch in the face, which makes no sense whatsoever. I can't imagine how he would think it would go there, because obviously nothing ever became of it, right? The feds just dumped it. But that week-long period of time, he says, oh, I took the Gardner case to the FBI, but I didn't do the Trevor Kirk case. I have no idea how they learned of that one. What's the magic of them being told about one and, through osmosis, getting information about the other? That must have been how it happened. I call bullshit on the sheriff. I think it was really clear from the things that he said he did. When he started taking political heat on the Trevor Kirk case, he decided to notify the FBI or the federal monitors. He notifies the federal monitors, the Board of Supervisors, the Inspector General's office, the COC, all the elected officials up in the Lancaster area. And then he has the gall to tell the deputies, I have no idea how the FBI got involved with that. It's absolute freaking bullshit. And he doesn't have the balls to, he had two courses that he could have taken, right? He could have said, Trevor Kirk got a bad deal and I'm going to go to the FBI to the Pam Bondi, right? To the federal government. And I'm going to get this case overturned or get a pardon or whatever. Or he could have just gone up and said, you know what? Kirk did wrong. Kirk deserved what he got. You guys need to man up and just keep doing your jobs and stay out of trouble. He could have taken one of those two routes. Instead, he did nothing. Absolute zero. So, the one of his people asked him, hey, well, how are we supposed to handle a case that comes up like Trevor Kirk if it happens again? His answer? I can't tell you. I don't know. That's, leadership 101, baby. I mean, he just, I mean, this drips of just absolute bullshit.
Here's my thing about both of these capers is I don't even think you have to be a copper to realize that they're justified. But I don't know. I would just imagine that Joe Blow civilian looking at both of these with a clear view would be like, yeah, that kind of makes sense why they did what they did.
Well, I have some pretty liberal friends and relatives, and those that have actually seen this are kind of like, hey, this ain't right.
Mm.
It's not just from a cop mentality. I mean, I look at it, I have investigated thousands of deputy involved incidents, force, shooting, whatever, involving cops. These two cases are nothing burgers. And the fact that, see, here's the thing. Here's what I believe is going on. There's a consent decree up there, or a settlement agreement up there in the Palmdale, in the Lancaster area. And they have federal monitors. And those monitors, as far as I'm concerned, are going to want to keep this open as long as they can, because they can keep getting a paycheck year by year, doing every 6-month report saying, oh, you guys were that close, but we got to watch it for another 6 months. I mean, that close. And he's taken heat. He even acknowledged, he goes, yeah, when I first came in, they jumped me and told me, you guys aren't doing the right thing. So what does he do? He takes 2 bullshit cases out of those 2 station areas, and he makes an example of them. The one kid they fire for the one punch to the face, and the other one, they end up going to the FBI and getting the kid convicted with a possible 10-year sentence for knocking some lady on the ground and pepper spraying her face. It's just, as far as I'm concerned, he's an anti-cop. He's a police imposter. He has no business being in charge of the largest sheriff's operation in the frickin' country. And he should be embarrassed, and he should step down tonight, go to the refrigerator, take what's left of that cake out, and go home.
Chocolate cake.
Agreed.
You drown his tears in chocolate cake.
That sounds good.
Yeah. You know what? I can't even take chocolate cake anymore just because of him. But I mean, this case just reeks, and it points to the fact that this sheriff, this leader, is neither. He can't even be straight up with his people. He threw these people to the political winds for political expediency to try to make himself look better. I don't know how it's going to help him with BLM and the anti-cop cancel the contract crowd up there, because they're never going to be satisfied until they cancel the contract. Hence the name in their group, cancel the contract. No matter anything you do up there, it's not going to be right as far as they're concerned. Oh, and another thing. There's a third deputy involved up there, if you remember, that was involved in the shooting. They got a disturbance call. They went there, and this woman answers the door with a butcher knife about this long and saying, I'm fixing to kill him. And she disappears into the apartment, right? Deputies go in. She goes over, and she goes over and confronts the boyfriend, who's like on the bed, like, oh, shit. And before she can stab him in the eyeball, the deputy shoots her, right? Now, my understanding is the DA's already looked at it. The DA's like, good job, pal. Defending life and property. That kid's been relieved of duty ever since that case. That's over a year.
God.
It's over a year old now. Shame on the sheriff's department. But here's the thing. He's a white deputy. That's a black chick. The deputy up in Palmdale, white deputy, black chick. The other deputy in Lancaster, Trevor Kirk, white deputy, black chick. Does that tell you that maybe Luna is kowtowing and throwing that race card out just to make points and saying, just because it's a white guy and he punched a black chick, that has to be racially motivated, right?
Has to be.
Has to be racially motivated. That knife meant nothing. Strangling her own kid meant nothing. The one that did the robbery inside the Winco and came out and acting like she's a victim with her camera, and spitting on the security guys before that, all that meant nothing. It's got to be racially motivated because it's a white guy and a black chick. Who would want to be a cop? Who would want to be a cop up there in Palmdale, Lancaster right now?
Nobody.
The answer is
Anywhere.
nobody.
Who would want to be a cop anywhere?
Absolutely right.
I got to
You know,
respond. Oh, go ahead.
Go. No, I'm done. I'm on fire.
I got to respond to something Wong. Need the chocolate cake insider story. This came up probably over a year ago, where we decided that anything to do with Luna has to do with he's just happy as a kid in summer camp if he has a piece of chocolate cake. That's all that matters. Just imagine Robert Luna just holding a piece of chocolate cake and the world could be burning around him, but he's got that piece of chocolate cake.
Right.
Hey, is something Wong friends with We Too Low and Holy Fruit?
Well, what about the other?
You
What
know
about the
those
pilot
guys?
Wong Wei?
Pilot Wong Wei. Wong Wei.
We've got questions. You know, another one I'm going to bring up.
Or Tis the Wrong Ho.
Yeah, what happened? Tis Wong Ho, man. But you know, another thing I'm going to bring up too, as long as I'm on fire about this guy that pretends he's sheriff right now. You have the 47th president of the United States of America come to survey the devastating fires that happened in Altadena sheriff's area, Palisades, and Malibu, partial sheriff's area, right? The president comes to hold an after the fact briefing. Where's the sheriff? He decided, fuck that guy. I'm going to San Diego and hang out with the union bros instead of sitting there and standing tall next to the chief of LAPD, right? And he makes the conscious decision just to blow off the president of the United States. Gee, was that politically motivated?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you bet it was.
I bet if the walking corpse was still around, he would have been there probably, right?
Well, if you use an auto pen, you can be a walking corpse, and just as long as you have an auto pen,
right? Pardon everybody you want,
right?
People that you don't even know about.
Well, and if they'd have been guarding the bakery down there where they make the chocolate cakes, he'd have been standing there in line with a shotgun in his hand. Yeah,
so good.
But just
so good.
It's so maddening that the kids, I call them kids because I'm so much older than all of them are, they're putting up with this crap, pushing the radio cars, doing the job, answering the radio, and all the while in the back of their mind saying, I sure hope that I'm not a white guy and a black chick has to go to jail tonight. Right? I mean, it's insanity. It's tiresome. And, I'm glad that people are speaking up. I'm glad Paula was here. I don't know if she's still here. Hi, Paula. Thanks. Because she sees it clearly.
Paula, are you here?
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Ken.
Oh, no, I'm saying that. Paula, are you here? Cherry. Paula! Okay, sorry. Go ahead, Trevor.
The caper that made me I was like, I got to pull the pin. Not a big caper, nothing crazy. Battery suspect on a security guard, mule kicks a copper while we're there. It's in the heart of downtown. There's a commercial shoot going on right down the street. Dude is high as a kite. I mean, tweaking out of his mind. And by the time we're getting out of the Chipotle or whatever it was, I got him hobbled. He refuses to sit on the sidewalk waiting for the RA. So now he's laying in the gutter because he's putting himself there.
Mm-hmm.
And then here comes the crowd, right? And I'm like, if this dude, if his heart explodes, like it looked like it might, because he's so tweaked up, I'm the next Derek Chauvin. I got to get out of here. I don't need this. It's not worth it. And there's a lot of coppers like that have called it a day just from something exactly like that, where they're just like, this is not worth it for a PPA battery,
Yep. Agreed. Well, and Paula also said something about Luna, Gasco, and McDonald. They were all registered Republicans before they ran. That right there tells me where they're coming from. Because, I've been a registered Republican for going on years. And I would change my party preference for political expediency. Why would you do that unless you're just a whore? Pardon my French. Why? It's like, oh, I got to get elected, and these people want me, but to do that, I have to sell my soul to the devil. I would, tell them, not today, Satan, and go find somebody else. But these guys, that's where they're coming from. That's what it was all about to them, was the power of the job, and they would do anything, say anything, sell anything, buy anything to get that position.
Yep.
Well,
Hi, Mike.
It's
Goes deep.
It's almost my bedtime. What's going on? Other than that,
I just want to say that this is nothing about me, but it just happened to be my birthday, and my 3-year-old granddaughter made her first Papa, happy birthday, Papa. And then the best thing about it is that she signed it.
Nice. There you go.
nice.
Look at
There you
that
go.
signature.
You got to have that framed and keep that and show it to her when she's 30 years old, man. That's great.
So we just came back from Portland visiting, and grandkids are little cutie pies. But anyways,
Cool.
I just want to show everybody the birthday
happy
card.
birthday, Grandpa.
Thank you. Yeah, I think
35
that,
years old, and the dude's already got a grandkid. That's crazy.
35.
Incredible. You look
35
marvelous.
years old.
Marvelous.
Well, this was a good show. And thank you, GJ. And thank you, Paula. And thank you, Stephen. I appreciate it. Another year older. And it's pretty cool.
Deeper in debt.
Deeper in debt.
So what is it? What's Paula got going on with that? Tweaking balls? Is that who was getting tweaked? I don't understand that. Oh, have some chocolate cake. Yeah, Zippy.
Have some chocolate cake.
Yeah.
I think Luna ate all the chocolate cake, man. And thank you, Helper. Appreciate that. Oh, look at all these wonderful people saying.
Hey, that's Timothy Gardner right there.
That's Timothy?
That's the Palmdale deputy up there.
Palmdale.
Stay strong, brother. Stay strong.
Yeah.
Man.
All right, brother. Yeah. Good deal. Thank you.
You've been railroaded, brother.
Yeah. I hope that lawsuit goes through, and then Timothy has his day in court and takes the county.
Well, I mean, you look at the circumstances behind it, man. It just, I'm with you, brother, and I know a lot of people are, so just hang tough.
Yep. Well, thank you guys for the birthday wishes, and we're gonna probably be back next week. We've got some things in the plans. Hopefully, I'll see Marlon. Marlon, not too long ago, he said that his car was getting towed in the snow.
Ouch.
So, but
Marlon got off the hook this week, right? Did it?
We'll try and get him. I do want to do a follow up on that LAPD thing. But Trevor, thanks for being here, man.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys.
Man. And we'll have Trevor back. But next week we should be here. We've got a plan of what we're going to do. We've got some other guests that are coming up too, and you are Timothy. You're more than welcome, man. We got your back on this. So Mike will keep us posted on that. Mike, keep up on this so we know what's going on with this.
Aye, sir.
All right, and everybody, thank you so much for being here and hanging out with us the whole over an hour and a half. That's pretty cool.
Hey, any law enforcement, any first responders looking for a golf lesson, at Trevor Schultz Golf on Instagram, or at the Short Game Guys.
That's
DM
right.
me. I give you guys a little discount.
There you go.
All right.
I need it. Hector Cuevas was the deputy that got killed in Victorville yesterday during a pursuit, and wow, that was crazy. That was crazy.
It's always
horrible. Mike, conference call with Paula.
Yeah, let's we'll finish up after this, Paul, and then we'll give you a buzz. How's that?
There we go.
Yeah, are you available, Ken? Or you got to go eat that cake? All right.
Now I'm gonna chocolate cake. So, Trevor, after we sign off, hang in here. We're gonna stick around for a minute. And Mike, when the video plays,
I'm gonna cough as much as I can.
All right,
I might even blow my nose. Let's go for it.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Okay.
All right.